Welcome to The Favorites, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Happy Thursday. NFL Week 16 has arrived. I'm Brandon Kravitz, joined by an insightful and delightful duo. The Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, Stuckey, is back on the podcast, and the Queen herself, Miss Kendra Middleton. On today's episode, we will submit our official plays of the week. We've got our stat of the day, courtesy of Evan Abrams. We'll kick that to you in just a moment. 2 Kings and a Queen Parlay, courtesy of DraftKings. And we have planted our flags already. The Browns +10, the Seahawks tonight. And Matt Moore, who slid in for Stuckey on Tuesday's episode, was on the Broncos -3. Went oppo on our Jacksonville Jaguars. But before we get to anything of football substance, Stuckey, how is the little burrito doing at home?
He's doing well. He's cute. He's hanging in there. They said to like I don't do much. It's like, I mean, he sleeps and then he eats. My wife has to do all the work right now. And I don't really sleep during football season, so that's not a big adjustment. So yeah, they say to this morning, he watched some bowl games with me last night, had him on the couch.
Locked in.
They say to read to them. Just like they're not going to register anything, but like for your voice. And so I was reading a recent book I got on the history of the Venezuela. So he was learning about the history of Venezuela this morning. Yeah, I was reading to him about Bolivar and
you didn't want to roll with
Chavez.
like Itsy Bitsy Spider or one of the classics?
No, I mean we have all those, but I'll read them to him when like he can actually like register anything. It's more about like your voice, and so I might as well read something that I want to read. So maybe he'll end up getting into history. But yeah, it's not much different for me right now, but it will be. Right now they're pretty easy.
Was it like a holy moment when you held him?
Yeah. It was funny. He was born at 1:01 Eastern on Sunday, and I guess he wanted to catch the NFL slate. Then they brought me up to the nursery.
It's like right when the Octobox gets shown on Red Zone too.
Baby's
like,
first
exact
Octobox
moment.
Yeah, it was an emergency C-section, so they brought me up to the nursery after, and then they had to like still operate on my wife for a while. But because it was a C-section, they have to like help him to breathe and clean him off. So like I was just standing there while a bunch of nurses and doctors were attending to him for like an hour. So I was just sitting in the nursery, but I wore like
the scrubs,
a winter. Yeah, I had the scrubs, but I had a winter hat on, and then I had like headphones underneath, and I just had Red Zone playing in my pocket. So while I was in the nursery,
real dad energy.
So yeah, and then I was able to go back. We went back to recovery room, and then I was able to watch the Bills make a crazy comeback, which was nice. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy moment. We were in the hospital until yesterday, so that was kind of so that was went there at Saturday night, and then he wasn't born until Sunday at 1. And then we got home Wednesday afternoon, so we were there it kind of felt like a camp, like we were at camp. But I was sleeping on like a cot whenever I did sleep. That wasn't great, but yeah, it's big life change, but I'm excited. It'll get harder once he's able to move around and stuff. But for
run
now,
around and wreak havoc.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's gonna be where everything changes. But for now, status quo. We're on to week 16. A lot of this week, I'm actually really excited for this week because if you look at this week's card, it's you have there's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL regardless, but there's like I think 7 or 8 rookies starting. Like you have Quinn Ewers now, Brady Cook. So there's there's some I think there's like 7 or 8 rookies that are starting this week, but this is like when the games matter for playoffs, and we have Rams Seahawks tonight, Packers Bears Saturday night, Ravens Pats Monday night. We get 44-year-old Philip Rivers on Monday night against the 49ers. But yeah, there's a lot of good games. Jags Broncos, our Jags. There's some good games on the slate that I'm looking forward to, but there's also some just like, wow, is this the state of our quarterback play right now? But I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for the playoffs.
Either a great thing or a scary thing. There are a lot of games I like, and from a betting perspective on this week's card. Let's talk about one of the ones you just mentioned, the Jags and the Broncos, a matchup of 10 and a 12-win team that will not be seen by anybody but local markets, by the way. No national broadcast. Keep doubting our Jaguars. Bo Nix coming off the best performance of the season for him. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, threw for 302, took 0 sacks. The Jags, meanwhile, 25 plus in 7 straight games. They're the only team in the NFL to be able to say that. And this trend screams Jacksonville. This is our Evan Abrams stat of the day. Since 1990, teams on an 11 plus game win streak have been inflated and have struggled to cover. 14 and 36 and 2 against the spread. That's 28%. To me, it's Jags or pass. I have not bet the game yet. Broncos favored by 3. I have Jacksonville rated slightly higher, and I think part of that is their strength of schedule. Denver's 28th, the Jags are 12th, and on top of that, Nick Giffen has the Broncos number 1 in the luck rankings. Jags top 10, they're number 9, but a percentage diff of 19%. To me, it's Jacksonville or nothing. Stuckey, how do you read this one?
Yeah, I'll be on the Jags, waiting to see if I can get a 3.5. Even if I have to pay like 115, 120 for it. Um, I don't think that I have this under a field goal. And yeah, you might say Nick's played his best game of the season last week. I mean, it was another lucky Broncos when he had 4 turnover-worthy plays. The Packers
But so did Trevor Lawrence.
uh dropped like 3 picks in that game. Additionally, they lost Evan Williams, Micah Parsons, Christian Watson, their right tackle. I mean, they lost 6 starters during the game to injury. So, yeah, this Broncos team is just keeps getting away with it every week. Not a believer. I think their defense is good, but it's not like the Texans. I think their defense is even a bit overrated. So yeah, I'll be on the Jags. I mean, the Jags defense since week 8, 4th in EPA per play. They've been a top 5 run defense all season. That's important against Denver. They're going to play a lot of zone. Nix is going to put the ball in harm's way. Jags have been very opportunistic on defense. And then I think the story of the Jags this season, and one of the reasons why I was buying into them before the season, was Liam Cohen. Wherever he goes, the offense improves. Was expecting the offense to improve as the season went on. It's been even better than I thought. I mean, since they acquired Jacoby Myers, 3rd in dropback success rate, 6th in dropback EPA. Jacoby Myers has been amazing for them. They've also gotten Brenton Strange back. The run game's been cooking all season. So yeah, I'll be on. It'll probably be another close Broncos game. Would love to get a 3.5 with the Jags.
Josh Hines Allen popped up on the injury report. He's dealing with an illness. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Wednesday's a pretty standard day for stars not to practice, so I wouldn't freak out about that,
Yeah,
but
he'll
just
be
keep an
fine.
eye on that. Kendra, you are a resident Jags fan. We have just simply hopped on the bandwagon. Do you have confidence in your team going up against a Broncos team that is undefeated at home this year?
I'm on the Jags. We are a Jags podcast. I've already put it in the app. I'm a little concerned that Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland are both on the injury report on that left side. That doesn't make me feel great against a Broncos defense. I would like to add that I think the Jags are averaging in the last 6 games like 33 or 34 points a game, which is also just insane. Like, as a Jags fan who grew up hating this team but also loving this team, that's an insane stat to say out loud. The thing for me here isn't so much that I'm super high on this Jags team, which you guys know I've had my ups and downs. I've been in and out. Bashal Tutin being on the injury report as doubtful also doesn't really scare me that much, just because LaQuint Allen has been incredible on special teams, and I think that he can make up for the position on that in the run game that Bashal Tutin has for the Jags. It's more so a fade of the Broncos here for me. It is impossible to go on such a win streak like they have and not stumble at some point, especially because, like Stuckey said, they will absolutely, Bo Nix will put the ball in harm's way, and this Jags team will take advantage of those opportunities. My spider, Lloyd, named after Devin Lloyd, just decided to molt on Sunday. So I'm thinking even Devin Lloyd taking this game. I think that that's what that means.
The Jags catching 58% of the bets right now, and
Jags 1 seed, still they win this game.
Still alive.
That's true.
Still very much alive. They'd have the
Do you
tiebreaker
do you have the
over
odds?
the Broncos.
Are there odds on that are available?
I
I
have
would
no
think they're
idea.
pretty good.
They have to win this week. I mean, if they lose this week, it's done. But if they have to win this week, and then they have what the Colts and the Titans left,
Broncos are a
and
game and a half up.
then they need the Broncos to lose to the Chargers, Pats to lose this week to the Ravens, um, and I
Broncos have
believe,
Chiefs on Christmas.
yeah. But I mean, what is the Chiefs? The most likely loss for the Broncos is going to be the Chargers at home in the finale.
I don't know. I get that the Chiefs suck. They have nothing to play for, and we're getting Gardner Minshew, but still divisional. Something to
Yeah,
get up for some of those guys. I don't know.
it is, but I don't even know who's going to play. Like the Chiefs, are they just going to sit guys because um, there's nothing to play? They have so many injuries that's my main concern. And then obviously the drop off from Mahomes to Minshew. But yeah, if the Jags win, so if the Jags win this week against Denver, we'll say the Ravens beat the Pats, um, and then next week, um, the Pats are probably going to win out after that because they play the Jets and the Dolphins. But if the Broncos, let's see, would the Jags have the tiebreaker? So if the Jags win out, this will be one more second. This is riveting,
This
riveting
is great
podcast.
podcasting.
We did get a number. I'll buy you some time here, Stuck. The Jags 7-1 to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I don't know how that maths out with all of these different machinations that we need, but
I don't like
still,
that.
Yeah, that's all that would have to happen. So that's what would have to happen. Jags would get the 1 seed. Be a three-way tie for at 13-4 with the Jags, Broncos, and Pats, all at 13-4. And if that were to happen, so what needs to happen? They got to win out, including win over Denver. Denver loses to the Chargers in the finale. Pats lose to the Ravens, and even if the Pats win out after that, um, the Jags would have the tiebreaker, all at 13-4, um, and get the number 1 overall seed. The Bills could also finish 13-4, so there could be a um, a four-way tie at the top, but the Pats would win the division and the Jags would get the 1 seed.
Anything to avoid going to Houston for the playoffs, I'm in on. I will chase it. I want
nobody
the Chargers at home
nobody
again.
wants those Texans. Nobody wants them. By the way, if you
No.
wanted a much more simple version where you don't have to wait until things play out in week 17 and beyond, Jags money line, Ravens money line for week 16 is plus 281. So not exactly the 7-1, but if you just thought that maybe things were going to tilt in that direction, that could be a way to look. Now,
By the
On
way,
both
another
teams already.
crazy. We could also have 5 teams that finish 13-4 in the AFC. So if the Chargers win out, um, and in that case, and then say Denver loses to the Jags and they lose to the Chargers would have the 2 seed and win the division. The Pats would have the 3 seed and win the division. The 13-4 Broncos would have the 6 seed. The 13-4 Bills would have the 5 seed, and the 13-4 Jags would have the 1 seed. Pretty wild.
do you have
What a
any?
dumpster
I know
fire.
you just had a child, so perhaps, you're not ready for this, but do you have anything random, weird, bizarre for us this week?
Uh, What, if anything, is the weirdest thing that you have stolen in your life that you regret? So I think I can't remember. The only thing I can remember that I've ever stolen, I mean, I'm sure I stole something when I was like a kid, right? Um, like you grab like a candy bar, I don't know. But like the only thing I can remember stealing is um and I actually felt bad about it the next day. I was in Hoboken, New Jersey visiting a friend, and we were out all night, and it was like 3 in the morning, and we were walking back to his place after the bars, and then there was this huge bread. It was like 4 in the morning. There was this huge bread truck that was delivering bread to like a store, and I hopped in and I just grabbed this big crate of rolls. Like, why would I steal rolls? So my friend had like rolls for like a year frozen in his freezer. But I felt bad for the bread guy the next day because I don't know who would have to cover that. But I've stolen rolls in my life and then didn't use any of them. I left the next day. So that's the only thing I think of. And then it's a two-part question. When you were a kid, what was your if there was like an ice cream truck, or if you didn't have an ice cream truck? Did you guys have an ice cream truck that would come around?
Oh yeah.
What was your order? Um, mine for that was because I saw an ice cream truck the other day, and for some reason I haven't seen one in forever. I would always get the um that Mickey Mouse bar with the
Oh yeah,
vanilla and the
that's still
chocolate.
hot.
That I love that. And then I'd always get candy cigs and try to act cool like with fake cigarettes.
I can
Um,
totally see that.
so I no ice cream trucks. I don't know. Maybe some people didn't have an ice cream truck that comes around. We don't have an ice cream truck that comes in my neighborhood. Um, so uh, yeah. So Kendra, have you ever stolen anything?
One
And
of them I can't talk about on the air, but I will tell you guys off the air because it is so illegal. It's actually an issue, and I was so young and I did not realize anything at the time. The only other thing that I've stolen is I accidentally walked out of the grocery store with a thing of toilet paper under my cart once, and that still haunts me to this day that I feel bad about. My ice cream truck order was, I think it's called a screwball. It's like the slush, and then it had the gumball at the bottom.
Oh yeah,
yeah, those are fire.
I like
classic.
that. Yeah, I like that one.
My ice cream order was always the WWF ice cream bar. So, and then you would open it and you could have like the Hulk Hogan or the Big Boss Man, you never knew whose image was going to be drawn on the ice cream bar. But the ice cream itself was really good too. It was like a graham cracker crust with vanilla on the inside. And then the second you said the thing that you stole, I had this instant memory. 13 years old. I'm at Dillard's with my friend Steven.
Dillard's.
Yeah. And for some reason, he wanted to start stealing Tommy Hilfiger tags off of the Tommy Hilfiger, and they're just like little cardboard things that hang on the shirts. And so we took a bunch of those. And then we decided that we were doing so well with this, we are going to up our game. Do you remember those flotation devices on the Nautica jackets back in the day?
Hmm.
So I'm putting this picture up, these little things.
Yeah.
So we started taking those. At that point, Dillard's had enough. And we got sent to the security office at Dillard's. And they told me that they had my parents come and pick me up, and I wasn't allowed back at Dillard's until I was 16 years old. And so
Do you
there's
think
no way they like
Dillard's still
I was
has your
convinced at
name?
13, 14, 15 years old that my picture was hanging up at Dillard's in South Florida. And
Wait,
I'm
what would you do with
positive
them?
I just kept them.
Just
It was
Stop.
have them?
just it just became like a game, like who could get more of them. I don't know. It was really stupid. I was 13 years old, but yeah,
Oh, actually,
just like
I
Peter
just
Warwick
remembered
got
something else
kicked
I
out of
stole.
Dillard's.
I actually got arrested for stealing something. Um, but it
You
wasn't.
have been arrested?
Yeah, so I was 16 and I was down at my friend's senior week house,
And he's smoking candy cigarettes.
and they were at their senior week house. They were out. of toilet paper, and I went um, to the boardwalk at this is down at the Jersey Shore. I went to the boardwalk with my friend, and we took toilet paper out of a, a bathroom. One of the workers, I guess, saw us walking out with it, and they waved down a cop, and a cop chased us down, and I got arrested for underage drinking because I was drunk when he stopped me, and I was 16. So technically, that's taking toilet paper. I was just trying to be nice because they were out of toilet paper at their house. I was there for a night. I was like a freshman. They were at their senior week house.
A true
My
Robin Hood.
dad had to come drive at 3 in the morning, uh, and come get me, 2 hours away, and drive me back. He was not happy. So yeah. Um,
You were the leader of Degenerate Nation from a young age, my friend.
so yeah, that's it. Toilet paper and rolls. I guess I have a thing for stealing rolls. I don't. I guess that's
True.
the common theme, and I didn't
Uh,
use any of them.
but
No,
these
that
are
does make sense.
everyday household items. At least you were stealing things of value and not flotation devices. Let's
Fair.
get to action or distraction. Tua was benched by Mike McDaniel. In slides Quinn Ewers, and we saw the line shift a few points in the process. I'll give my take on this later because it is one of my nominations. But Kendra, action or distraction on the line movement, given how bad Tua has been?
I want nothing to do with the Dolphins right now at all. Nothing. Don't even, no. I don't. Here's the thing. If Quinn Ewers is starting before Zach Wilson and Tua is now behind those two, that points to no go, nothing. No. I will say I do think that this is going to weirdly teach us a lot about the Tua scenario, just because I don't think we've seen with the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel run an offense that's not based around Tua's ability. And I think that that's going to be like a huge thing of whether we might see. I don't think that the Dolphins are going to be able to get rid of his contract at all just because of how much money they owe him, his injury history, and his capabilities. I think they're going to be stuck, with the Kirk Cousins situation. But we're going to learn a lot about how tailored this offense was to him. And I think that that's probably going to affect the Tua market in a way.
If you are a quarterback needy team, would you take a shot on Tua?
No, absolutely not, because his injury history is enough for me to stay away at that price. Absolutely not.
I would. I mean, it depends on. Yeah, I mean, his price and the market, but I think that Tua can be like, um, a really solid Mariota, like just the best backup in the league, right? Like
For
so,
that price,
well, obviously that's wouldn't you wouldn't pay.
The Dolphins have to eat that price,
The
though.
Dolphins have to eat that.
but
So
wouldn't at that point they just cut him because then they can spread that money out over 2 seasons if that's how it's going to go?
yeah, but I'm saying for a new team, like a
It's going to
team
be
that
like
has,
Russell Wilson. Like Wilson was let go by Denver. Denver had to eat the money, and then
Yeah,
he
they
just went
did.
and signed $1 million contract with Pittsburgh.
yeah, if they cut him before June 1st, it's going to cost them 99 million in dead money, which is insane. The record is the Broncos with 85 million for Russell Wilson, which is pretty amazing what the Broncos are doing right now, considering how far back that would have set a lot of teams. I mean, look at the Browns with Watson. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Tua is probably, and that with his injury history, that's going to work best for him. Would probably work best as just like a backup to a good team that. Um, so, but as far as the line movement, yeah, I mean, I agree with it. It was two, it was 1.5, two, 2.5. I think it was 1.5. It leaked out to 2.5 when there was when McDaniel said all options are on the table, and then it jumped out to 4.5 after the announcement. I think it's settled. Is it at 4 now? Or last I saw. I think
Yep.
that makes sense. You got to remember that also not all line moves are created equal. This is going through three. So, something going from like a pick to -2 is not as impactful as something going from, 1.5, two out to 4 through three, which is the biggest key number in football. So yeah, I think that it's warranted. Um, you just don't know. Like Tua hasn't been great. The Dolphins have been relying on their run game. They just haven't been asking Tua to do much, and their run defense has been incredible. And but their secondary is still vulnerable, which is what I would worry about against Burrow. But as far as the drop off, you just don't know what Ewers is going to look like. This isn't a high draft pick. He's a rookie. It's his first start, and I know the Bengals aren't a great defense, but you have to expect that it's going to be a couple points worse than Tua, even though he hasn't been great. So yeah, I agree with the move at this price. Like Kendra, I have no interest in betting this game.
We have
Week after the Bengals were eliminated, like where are they at mentally? Dolphins were eliminated. Like just a game that's I don't want to see any part.
we have a squad ride tonight. If you look on the Action Network app, I'm on the Seahawks, Kendra's on the Seahawks, Stuckey's on the Seahawks, and we didn't even discuss it as a unit. We'd all just sort of wound up there. Action or distraction for this is a great or bad sign for us and the Birds, Stuckey.
A great sign. We've been good this year, so we're about to hit our two Kings and Queen parlay later. But yeah,
This
I
is
like
the
the
energy
Seahawks.
I
I mean,
need. I love this.
I played the Seahawks early, cheap money line. Like I think that they've taken some money since, and I think the line's getting close to right. But the biggest thing for me is the loss of Devontae Adams makes the Rams so much easier to defend. They've been relying on a lot of heavy personnel, and no team in the NFL is better equipped to defend heavy personnel than the Seahawks. So what a lot of teams do by mistake is they match heavy personnel, so multiple tight ends, with either their base defense or heavy defense, which means a lot more linebackers on the field. That's a mistake because what do the Rams do out of that? They throw out of heavy personnel and they do it extremely well. And if you have more linebackers on the field, the Lions did this last week. They matched the Rams heavy personnel with base and heavy. Every single snap they got destroyed, absolutely destroyed. The Seahawks, they match heavy personnel with they're with not base, not heavy. They're gonna nickel, dime. They match based on the down and distance, which is what you should do. And part of that is they have Nick Emanware, who can play linebacker if you run or defensive back, and they have a lot of versatile guys. And McDonald's a very smart defensive coordinator. They match heavy personnel with base or heavy at the lowest rate in the league. They have a tailor-made defense to defend the Rams, especially without Devonta Adams. And it's one of the reasons in the first meeting, Stafford had his worst game of the season by far. Think about this. Darnold threw 4 picks on the road. The Seahawks had a field goal attempt to win the game. And I mean, at Stafford, I think had 28 pass attempts for 130 yards, if I recall correctly. He was not good. Now there's no Adams. Seahawks at home. And I know that Darnold has struggled against this defense in the past, but I feel like they figured some things out in the second half against Atlanta, similarly structured defense scheme. And he's at home this time around. So yeah, and the loss of Adams is big in the red zone and just as that man beater. So
it's
I
goal
like
line
Seattle
stuff
to get it
too.
done at home.
He's essentially their goal line back. If you look at how often they've thrown him the ball on the 1 yard line, it's beyond just red zone.
They'll go their 13 personnel inside the 10 is like a cheat code, and they have Stafford will just look at what the linebacker or safety is doing over the tight end, and they'll have Adams split out. And if based on what he does, he's throwing it. If there's a one-on-one, if this safety or linebacker comes up or follows the tight end or comes up to play the run, I mean, it's just one-on-one to Adams and no one's covering him. So without that, you can focus more attention on Nakua. But I just like this matchup for the Seattle defense. So yeah, I think the Seahawks get it done at home. Should be a good game. It should be ugly. I mean, there's gonna be winds, rain, totals come down. But I think the Seahawks get it done. But these are the two best teams against the spread in the NFL. I think it'll be a good one. Looking forward to
Kendra,
it.
should we be concerned that we have a turnover-prone Sam Darnold in the rain? That's my only real fear with this game.
I was gonna say 3 feels a little bit like a crowd in this instance. For me personally, I got in on this game on Sunday for the same reason that Stuckey mentioned. I was trying to get ahead of the number before Adams and potentially Nakua, who is having a bad week in the press, I might add. Additionally, it's for like what I think when I think about this game, I sit here and I think one, it's hard to beat a divisional opponent twice in one season. I like the idea that that's probably leaning towards the split. I like that they're at home. And what really pushed me to get to the window on this is that yes, they won. And it's hard to sit here and say it's a bounce back game after a win, but they looked like against a Phillip Rivers led Colts team. They almost lost to a 44-year-old grandfather. If they don't come out guns a-blazing in this game, I'm going to fade the Seahawks for the rest of the season. If they don't come out genuinely looking like a Super Bowl contender against a Super Bowl contender, it's done. They're dead to me. I'm fading Sam Darnold the rest of the freaking season.
It was almost like a college look-ahead spot with the way that they played. So sleepy against the Indianapolis Colts. Still to come, 2 Kings and a Queen get nominated in our weekly parlay. But first, a word about DraftKings from the First Lady.
The Favorites podcast has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. To get started, use promo code FAVORITES when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code FAVORITES when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
Alrighty, time to talk Monday Night Football and our friends over at Sling TV. With Sling TV, you can take control with the flexible package. You got options of 1, 3, and 7-day passes to access 30-plus live channels, which includes ESPN. So that covers you for Monday Night Football, plus huge games coming up in the NFL regular season and playoff games, all for as low as $4.99. You just simply can't beat that. Time for a Monday Night Football preview. Let's look at 49ers Colts. The Colts catching 6.5 at home. San Francisco 10-4 record might be a little bit overblown. I think the team is good, but their strength of victory, 36%. Among the good teams in the NFC, only the Bears have a lower strength of victory than the San Francisco 49ers. But here's the thing. Their opponent this coming Monday night, I think, gets filed under easy competition when you're taking on an immobile old quarterback in Phillip Rivers, who just in some aspects had the game of his life, that he was able to get off the couch or get off of the high school coaching ring and play at least some level of respectable football. So I can only look at the 49ers, but more than anything else, I'm just going to go back to the well with what I bet last week in the return of Phillip Rivers. I'm going to go with Rivers under half a rushing yard, minus 185. The guy can't move. It's like a free bet. So I'm gonna look in that direction. Kendra, what about you?
I feel like I have to ask Stuckey the Phillip Rivers or featherweight question from Tuesday's show. I'm all over the 49ers here. I think it's time to absolutely fade the Colts. And anything up to a touchdown works for me.
We've had a lot of agreement on the show. I actually disagree with Kendra on that, but I played the Colts. I think the line's too high. The 49ers over the last 3 weeks, who would they beat? The Browns in a dead even game statistically, the Titans. Both teams were able to run on the 49ers, but the 49ers defense is so bad. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to run wild here. And I think since week 7, the 49ers are 31st in rush success rate allowed. And I think, look, Rivers, I think you can expect better from him this week. You're playing a defense that is poverty levels when it comes to getting pressure. They can't defend the run. Last week, he's on the road, his first game in 5 years, playing the Seattle defense, which is one of the 3 best in the NFL that can get pressure without blitzing. Now he's playing a defense that can't get any pressure whatsoever. He can dink and dunk, feed Taylor. And I think the 49ers are at the peak of their market value after playing a bunch of bad teams in a row with a ton of injuries as well. But I'm going to go with, I think Taylor gets fed and he has a big day. So I'm going to go Taylor longest rush over 17.5 yards. I think he breaks a couple here.
Did you get your wife pregnant 9 months before bowl season and the end of the regular season, and you need some instant access to live TV? Perhaps from the hospital room, Sling TV is your solution to that instant access for live TV starting at $4.99. And this works for Monday Night Football. This also works great for the upcoming college football playoff. There is not a better time to acquaint yourself with the 1, 3, and 7-day passes from Sling TV. Offer applies to Orange. 1-day pass restrictions apply. It's time for the reason you all came here today, the two Kings and a Queen Parlay nominations. We each nominate two, and then we will see what we land on. Kendra, get us started.
Well, since Stuckey hates my 49ers pick, I have a feeling that we're going to go with my Baltimore option because those are the two that I laid out. I just don't know if the Patriots defense, with all of their injuries, especially because I don't know if Spillane is now going to play on Sunday, they're going to be able to stop the run. I know Lamar Jackson's out with an illness. He has the immune system of a Victorian child. It feels like every December he has some sort of illness or the poop game or, the wheelchair game, whatever we want to call it from him. He had his Paul Pierce moment against the Packers a couple seasons ago. I don't really care that Lamar Jackson's sick, especially since he missed a Wednesday practice. He's been missing Wednesday practices pretty much the entirety of the year. Baltimore is just a step up in class for the Patriots, like Buffalo was last week. And I get that the Patriots were leading Buffalo at the half. Buffalo came back. It's just the ability that the Ravens have to run the ball, and I don't think the Patriots are going to have an answer for it, especially with all of the linebacker, injuries that popped up for them this week. Robert Spillane was in a boot yesterday. It just feels like the Patriots kind of are facing that bit of a reality check that we all knew was coming because of the strength of their schedule. So I'm going to fade them again this week.
I love this. I played the Ravens too. Lamar, by the way, 18-8 against the spread in December. Has never lost a game weeks 15 through 18 per Evan Abrams's primer. And since week 8, after the bye, Ravens second in rush EPA. Charlie Kohler's been amazing run blocking. They were 22nd over the first 7 weeks. Patriots defense since week 8, 30th in rush success rate allowed, 30th in rush EPA. Milton Williams is hurt. Robert Spillane, who's their leading tackler, calls the defense is hurt. They got banged up in the secondary last week. This team, which played nobody and was getting lucky. I mean, on the year, they play the easiest schedule in the league. They've gone 14 of 19 on fourth downs. Their opponents have gone 8 of 23. They've had 17 fumbles, only lost 7, recovered 67% of their opponent fumbles, have had games against teams that just completely imploded on special teams. And they've played some of the worst quarterbacks that are no longer starters in the league. I think that this line should be over a field goal. Now you have injuries. I mean, Will Campbell being out of left tackle, Verdarian Lowe is unplayable there. And this is just a classic Harbaugh Jackson primetime spot against an 11-win team. I like the Ravens to get it done.
Two more points I'd like.
And I think they'll be able to abuse the Patriots linebackers and safeties with their tight ends and throwing over the middle of the field. And Lamar started to look better progressively each and every week. And the Ravens defense is playing really well. I mean, since week 6, 5th in EPA play, 5th in success rate, 1st against the run. The one thing the Ravens still are struggling with is their red zone offense. They're second to worst in the red zone. 44% red zone touchdown percentage, way down from last year. Well, guess who's the worst red zone defense in the NFL? It's the Patriots. So they might actually see some positive results inside the 20. I like the Ravens. I'm sorry, Kendra, what were we going to say?
No, you're fine. I was going to say 2 more points that I forgot to add here before we get to Kravitz is one, Drake May does not have a fourth quarter game-winning drive of any sort in his career, and that's kind of the situation I expect them to be in this week. And the other thing is I am going to get these numbers backwards, but I think 81% of the bets are on the Patriots with 89% of the money. I might have gotten that backwards.
85. I was staring at that. That was going to be my follow-up.
Yep.
If you are in the fade the public camp, and Evan has been detailing how decimated the public bettors have been getting this year, if you see a team catching over 60% of the tickets, Evan, before I continue babbling about this, I don't have the number right in front of me. How bad has it been for the teams that are catching 60% or more of the bets?
Yeah, to be clear, this is 60% on close, so have to probably tune in like close to kickoff to kind of look at some of those numbers. But 60% or more, 54 and 90, 38% through 15 weeks.
Ooh.
Pretty ridiculous. Minus 28% return on investment. And maybe the crazier part is the consistency. 14 of 15 weeks below 500 against the spread in that spot. So pretty crazy.
And there is
Ravens,
not a team.
Look at us consensus this week.
This is crazy. And I'm with you 100%. I have no issue whatsoever with the Ravens this week. The Patriots are the most heavily bet side in terms of ticket percentage. So Not only 81%, but there's no team in the NFL this week that's catching a higher percentage than the Patriots are right now.
Which is
So even though,
crazy.
like Evan said, these numbers really only hold any sort of trend value right before kickoff. I doubt you're going to go from 81% to south of 60%. So the Patriots will qualify if you like to fade that public trend. So Ravens, yes, they're in there at -3. I'm going to nominate the Dolphins at +4
Ugh.
or the Cowboys money line. These are both kind of gross.
You guys are both on some gross this week.
I kind of like
Why do you want to bet the
Stuckies too.
Dolphins? Oh,
So this line springs. It was the injury overreaction and the way the market has settled down after the fact. The line was Bengals -2 right when you started getting whispers that there might be a change. Then the line springs to Bengals -4.5 across every book that I looked at. It's your typical overreaction to a benching or injury news. I just disagree with the movement. Tua hasn't been able to complete throws 10 yards down the field. He hasn't been on time. He hasn't been on schedule with this offense. He had trouble managing the 2-minute drill on Monday Night Football. And as much as Quinn Ewers might be bad, I think anything fresh for Miami right now is a positive, especially when you consider how bad the defense is they're going up against. We're not asking Quinn Ewers to be elite here. And it's not like he's going up against the LA Rams. I rarely suggest betting the Miami Dolphins, but I do feel like this is the right read and the right side to be on. And the Chargers are this is letdown city for them. They just beat the Chiefs on the road. And you've got Dak on a homestand. Evan points this out in the primer. Second home game in a row for the Cowboys with Dak Prescott as the quarterback. Last 15, he's 13-2 straight up. You have the Chargers off of an overtime Monday Night Football game and then go on the road to Kansas City. And now they're on the road in Dallas, and Dallas always plays better at home. So tough schedule spot for the Chargers. Those are my two nominations. Kendra, vote.
Can you just not piss me off for 1 week and give me
Nope.
something that I don't have to rip my hair out over?
It's become my mission, really.
I'm kind of I get the talking point of something fresh for Miami, but getting behind a rookie quarterback at this point in the season feels disgusting, but I
he's a
can't
seventh
go
round draft pick too. Like,
That's-
it could go like Brosmer. You just don't know. It could be like just a complete disaster. It's not like this guy was a first or second round draft. He was a 7th round draft pick.
He was the 7th round draft pick. He is also somebody that prior to last season starting at Texas was projected to be a 1st-round pick. I mean, he had a bad season that
it was
tanked
an
his draft
ass
stock.
season. Double ass booty cheek season.
So I don't think he's your typical 7th-round pick. I think he has 1st-round ability. It just didn't have. He just had a rough season. He's not a great processor. I've talked to some people down in the Miami area. It's not like there's buzz around him. I'm not trying to overhype Quinn Ewers here. But I think it's an overreaction. I think Tua has been so bad that any adjustment to Mike McDaniel just being able to mold his own version of what he wants a quarterback to be in his offense is going to be so valuable, even if it's just for a 1-week blip. And the fact that they get to do it against a bad defense at home.
I was
think
just
the
going to
signals
say,
the Dolphins want to lose. I mean, the Dolphins are kind of indirectly tanking.
They can lose, just lose by less than 4.
I think we got to get. I'm not betting the Dolphins. We said we didn't know part of that. So it has to be Dallas.
I disagree. I was going to say the Dolphins just because of the thing that I mentioned earlier with us not really knowing what type of McDaniels wants to run when it's not designed around Tua. I think that gives him a little bit more creative freedom here.
I mean, they're just gonna run it. Like that's all they've been doing. So like they're just practically gonna hand it to A-Chain 30 times again. Which might work against the Bengals, but
no Ollie Gordon rushing prop on DK right now.
I'll say Cowboys to make Evan, but the only thing is with the Cowboys, the Cowboys might be eliminated from the playoffs on Saturday night officially. And while I don't think that impacts them playing at home against the Chargers, I think they're going to show up. The market might back. You might get buyback on that. You might get some money coming in on the Chargers, but I've seen this before. Late in the season, team gets eliminated. There was like a Green Bay Detroit game in the final week of the season. The Lions got bet against because they got eliminated earlier in the day. They ended up beating the Packers. I think it was a Sunday night game. So you might get a better price there, but I'll go Dallas money line. Kendra's
Evan.
going Miami. So Evan, you gotta
I mean, I just hate both these games.
you're awful.
This is absolutely ridiculous. If you're gonna make me go ahead and pick though, like I just don't understand why Cincinnati and Miami would be like a consideration because the question marks on both
Yeah,
sides.
rabbits.
You have no idea what you're gonna get from Burrow, from Ewers. There's just so many question marks. So
Bengals
Dallas,
off a
but
shutout loss too. Historically, those have been
yeah,
very good bets.
but
Okay,
I'll
but
say this.
can I
Hold
pause
on.
you right there, Evan?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
there's a lot of question marks, but isn't that sort of
Well, then you should
there's
go
so
money line. You should just play the variance. I mean,
there's so much known in the NFL. This is the most known, widely known
You know it's serious when
inform
Kravitz does this bit.
but you should then you should take the money line. Like if viewers is a disaster, they're going to get blown out. Like they're not going to lose by. I mean, watch now. They said it's to lose by 3, but um,
I need some insurance here, Stuckey. So
Well, you should.
I will take the 4, but
Let's just go. You should go Ravens money line, Cowboys money line, and move on to our next pick. In my opinion, let's just take the money lines, go to win, and move on to what we're doing.
oh my
That's
God,
my
I'm so
opinion.
excited for the Dolphins to cover and watch
I'm
all
gonna
of your
They might.
I mean, they
faces.
follow
could.
up.
I'm not saying they
Right.
couldn't. I just don't want to have any money on that game.
But Burrow could throw for 500 yards as well.
Yeah.
Like
My point is that in an information game, no sport is known better by any of us that bet recreationally or beyond than the NFL. Sometimes the only leg up we have is betting into the unknown, and that is what we're doing here
And saying
with the Miami
leg.
Dolphins.
a 7th-round pick from Texas. Let's roll. Sure.
All right. So we got
Yes,
Ravens. We have
Evan,
Ravens money
crush
line.
him.
We have uh Cowboys money line. If you didn't like Brennan's, you're not going to like mine. My first nomination, Titans money line. Did the Chiefs show up? They have offensive line injuries. They have injuries at wide receiver. It's Gardner Minshew. This team they haven't played being eliminated from the playoffs in like 8 years. How do they talk about an emotional letdown? Also, Andy Reid, like, why waste any of your primo playbook here? The Chiefs can finally get a decent draft pick. I don't even know if they show up. Titans also, they have safety injuries, offensive line injuries. But they'll be excited for this game with Cam Ward. I think there's a lot of variance, and the Chiefs could just lay down. Like they could just be completely flat, and they can't even run the ball. Their offense has been struggling anyway. And then after more offensive line injuries to start that game last week, they couldn't do a thing with Mahomes. So, and the Titans have been running the ball better of late. So, a high variance game where the Chiefs might just no show. So, Titans money line, or if that didn't whet your appetite, Raiders plus 14.5. It's my favorite bet of the weekend, sadly. So Texans they have some injuries in the secondary, Marks at running back. They've lost some guys in the interior of their defensive line. Raiders, they're horrendous. They're bad. But they might get Colton Miller back at left tackle. That would be massive. He's like an Andrew Thomas. When the Giants, whenever they didn't have Andrew Thomas, their offensive line would completely crumble. It's still not gonna be a good offensive line, but if you have a top 5 left tackle, you can actually like function a little bit more. So he's practicing. Came off. I think he's going to play, but we'll see. But this is mainly just buy low, sell high spot. I think we're at the peak of the market on the Texans. Everyone is like, you don't want to play the Texans. The Texans are going to win the AFC. That's your number one signal that we're at the top of the market. They've won 6 straight.
I did just bet them to win the Super Bowl, so Stuckey's probably right about that.
Yeah, then they benefited from a bunch of like a lot of the teams they played over the past their 6-game winning streak have all been hurt. The Bills didn't have an offensive line. Daniel Jones got hurt with the Colts. The Chiefs had no offensive line. The Cardinals' whole team was hurt. So, and 4 of their 6 wins have come by 1 possession. Only 1 of the 6 has been a playoff team. They still can't finish drives, which is not ideal for a team you want to win by 3 possessions in the NFL. They're 30th in red zone touchdown percentage. And this is also a bottom on the Raiders. They were shut out with 80 yards last week. The Eagles went on a 17-play, 90-yard scoreless drive to finish the game that took 11 minutes. That was more yards than the Raiders had in the entire game. Teams off a shutout, 74, 55, and 5 against the spread, 57.5%. On the road, 65%, covering by over a field goal per game. Road dogs off a shutout loss, 65% historically. But this is one of my, and look, the Raiders are so bad. Like it's bad. But they've been blown out a bunch this year here's what they've done after 17 plus point losses. They lost by 1 to the Bears. They should have won. They beat the Titans by 10. They lost to the Jags by 1. They lost to the Broncos by 7 and covered. Shout out Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll, if you're down 17 this week, kicked that field goal. And then they lost by 14 to the Browns. So they're 4-1 against the spread after losses this year. And one of my favorite trends, the main reason I like this is buy low, sell high. Miller might be back. Texans have some injuries. I make it under 2 touchdowns. I think we're getting over 2 touchdowns because of the perception of these two teams. And one of my favorite trends, it rarely comes up, but when there's a double-digit dog in the NFL for a second straight week that didn't cover in the first week, past 25 years, 50 and 25 against the spread, covering by about 4 points per game. Why do I like that trend? Well, usually you're getting a point or two of value because no one in their right mind wants to bet a team, right? They were a double-digit dog the week prior. They didn't cover, which means bad team, blown out, looked awful. The next week, they're a double-digit dog again, which means bad team playing another good team. So who wants to bet this bad team after they just saw them lose 31-0 with 70 yards? I think that's why we're getting over 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I like the Raiders catching over 2 touchdowns. I think this line should be like 13 and a half.
Okay, that was a fantastic case, but no, I love the Titans this week. My vote is the Titans, easy, no
I hate
question.
both of
I
these,
knew
but
it once I saw it.
I was gonna say the Raiders just because I'm cheering so hard against the Texans. So Evan,
Titans, no question about it.
Points
this
or
isn't-
money line? Money line?
Points don't
We're going
matter
money
anymore.
line.
Yeah, money
Yeah,
line.
it'd be
We're going money
line,
line
yeah.
favorites with the other two. I think we should go money
I
line.
mean, they've covered
Yes.
they've covered 6 games this year after the worst ATS year in NFL history. They've covered their last 2 against teams under 500, which, just to let you know, that is the Chiefs.
a touchdown's
so-
a lot. Can we do the points?
Touchdown, Titans, Ravens, Cowboys, 6-1 at DraftKings.
Gorgeous.
Let's ride. That right there, your 2 Kings and a Queen parlay presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. That'll do it for today's episode. Special thanks to our producers, Gifford Gould and David Paynes, Stats Hound Evan Abrams for breaking some ties around here. Shout out to Stuckey, his wife, and his new little burrito. Glad to have you back. The favorites will return on Sunday night, week 16, a recap. Catch it right here on the Action Network YouTube page. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time here on the favorites presented by DraftKings.
Don't
Let's
steal
cash
it.
these tickets.